Hello, and welcome to another Pauper video. So I'm now actually recording this after the league is done. It's actually a few days later because I just wanted to put it up to YouTube anyway. Um, I'm thinking of calling this video like Anatomy of a 3-2 or something. We start off 3-0, it all looks really good. And then we lose to Red Rally, which is, it's fair. We didn't get there on one of our, in like game 2 or something. Spoilers for those of you who are, really watching one of the outcomes. So that's a bit disappointing to go from 3-0 to 3-1. 3-0, you've got a decent chance of making a trophy or whatever. And then we lose to MonoBlue Terror, and that game bugged me where it was like that matchup should be pretty good, and I couldn't quite tell where we'd lost and what lessons to take away. So I've done something that I've not done before and kind of then watched it back again a few days later um, to see where the big mistakes were, what the lessons are. And so that's kind of a quick, well, I say quick, that's another chunk at the end of the video immediately after that match, going back over it. So yeah, this is something like Anatomy of a 3-2. I still really like this deck. It's a shame we go 3-2 once and our win-loss goes down. What were we? I think we're 5-0, 2-4-1s, and a 3-2 now or something. So yeah, it's still good, but this 60% win rate isn't up to scratch anymore. Right, let's jump into the league. Right, so we're going to keep on the play in round 1. We've got a fairy here and a hacker. We've got a red source. I recognise this name. I think they've played Black Zack a few times before. Shame about having a spell pierce, but unfortunately we put it in our deck, and I think the thing is it does just cover enough stuff that it's worth having the one of. And again, they have to respect it. Like once they've seen it, they think they have to play around it at other points in the game. So I think it is worth having, but it's not my favourite card in the deck. So let's drop a Fairy Seer and resolve a Scry. Brainstorm and a land. I might keep the Brainstorm because I feel like I could kind of use turning our hand around. Depending on what they're on, we could brainstorm very differently. So we are correct that they are mono-blacking. So we can get in for 1, flip it with the ninja, probably just replay the ninja. Obviously it depends a bit on what we draw. Maybe we could play the island first so that we could play around, counter a snuff out. But so our choices are Seething Landscape, replay this, or Landscape, fetch a mountain. With the Brainstorm, I think we're going to fetch a mountain. And so we're not loving seeing all of these infestation sages, but there's not been a payoff yet. So we'll get our red source. Okay, discharge is a nice one. We could discharge something now, stop them having a sacrifice and bank 3 energy. I think instead I'm going to just Fairy Seer. Love a Spellstutter Sprite. Their deck is not very good against Spellstutter Sprite. Also quite like an Augur. It's a shame we didn't Brainstorm. Well, it's not really. We can Brainstorm later. Brainstorming later is great too. I'm going to Spellstutter first. Sorry, I'm going to draw Spellstutter first, is what I was intending to get across. I was trying to work out how I had said what I'd said and why it didn't make sense. Then we're just going to stay home. We've got a bit of value out of this. Okay, so that's a Galvanic Discharge target we haven't seen one. We'll take the opportunity now. Perhaps leaving back the hacker makes them think about staying home as well. It does. And then we're going to draw our Spellstutter. Don't want to Brainstorm. Play our land. Maybe I should have brainstormed, and then we could what's it called? Augur. This way we can Spellstutter something, and then still maybe brainstorm into some gas. I don't think I really want to interact with this on the stack, but we can still brainstorm. It's free, and if we find a counterspell, let's put back land. Sorry, Lorien, then the land. So we'll augur, draw the land and augur into the Lorien. So currently all this is doing is attacking for 2 for 1 turn. They've missed a land drop already, so I'm not going to really play around a land drop. I don't feel great about that. Yeah. Like if they carry and feed here, it's a lot worse for us than most of the other stuff they could have. We're not going to get into combat. Combat can go wrong in many different ways. Another draw 2. It happens. Blue and 1, let's say. No, I'm gonna let them. I do kind of want another red source. We know that we're finding a Lorien, like one of the cards is Lorien. Okay, so we do tap out of our red. That's a shame. But we were just kind of fortunate in a way that we did find our another red spell interaction piece. So the lands are creeping up, so actually countering the first Beckoner was relatively okay. So that's going to be able to kill at least 1 fairy of ours. I don't think we're going to get into combat with the augur. We'll just take our beats. Link Breaker. I kind of just want to counter this. And then we'll be Spell Pierce when they sacrifice this. So they're killing our guy, we'll still have a fairy. And then we'll just Spell Pierce. So opponent's at 2. 2 cards. We preordain. Love another spell set, so that is so good. And I kind of like the other augur as well. It's a blind augur, but blind augur still covers a lot of 1/3s. Like a 1/3 still covers a lot of their body, sorry. I think I'm just going to attack with these 2. I'll trade a hacker for an insect token now. So apart from Beckoners, we've got Beckoner covered in the discharge, and apart from that we sprite most of their deck. This is included in being most of their deck. I'm going to leave this open in case we decide it's panic stations and we need to like shuffle away our augur. But Bloodthorn Vampire, they can sack for make it a 3 5-power guy, which is still discharged. So I think I'm happy with the augur. Don't feel the need to shuffle that away. In fact, I'm going to play it out and get some more information. A Scred and a counterspell. We know they have a Beckoner still around. So I guess we just take the counterspell because that covers the Beckoner. Scred does as well, but they could still get some value there. And then what if we attack first? We might save ourselves some energy. Yeah, we just kill this, don't we? Oh no, maybe they we tap mana now, they know that we've got it. So they can sack this and stop us gaining any energy. Instead, okay, they're just kind of using it to kill our sprite, that's fine. We've seen 2 sprites already, so I'm going to attack with a fairy, so it's not that valuable anymore. We've got the augurs that we'd prefer to pick up anyway. If we ninja, so we know about a 5-drop in their hand, which they look to not play. I mean, that's a tough choice. Like, I think we're just going to draw 3. They can have a 4/5 into play. We've got so many removal spells to draw to in our deck. I'm not going to bother tapping to remove a card. Yeah, like, we've got 6 spells that kill their firepower guys, they can resolve it. Like, obviously, it's fortunate we drew one straight away, but escape tunnel, spicy. Wow. Main relic, my main relic. And then we've got, you know, they've got 2 cards in hand, we've got 2 cards covered and access to a relic. We'll hold up the relic if we can because there's like, you know, Reap in the Graves or something they could have. So I want more relics, I want more breath weapons. I don't think this is a game for the Monarch. They just have so many little critters. We could cut a Fairy Seer, but the game becomes a bit more. They're going to have a bit more removal, which makes Fairy Seer better in game 2. Could cut the Spell Pierce. It's kind of just trimming something at the edge here, isn't it, really? I guess Fairy Seer is like the worst of these. It could be Counterspell. Counterspell is really not very good. We're on the draw as well, so it's a bit too slow, but no, I'll cut the Fairy Seer. Oh, wrong way around. So cut these 4, add these 4. Again, Relic's not amazing here. If we can catch a Supernatural Stamina, that's pretty good. They might have some Unearths, or, you know, a Beckoner, for example, a Supernatural Stamina thing. I think the Relic just does enough. Maybe 2. And keep the Fairy Seer. Alright. I've sold myself on 2. 3's quite a lot. You know, we just don't have that much free mana in this match. If we see some more graveyard graveyard pieces on their end, we'll bring in the relic in game 3. Interesting choice here. Do we Fairy Seer turn 1 or just hold up Counterspell? What, sorry. We can Fairy Seer turn 1 or we can Lorien Reveal, which lets us hold up Counterspell next turn. So they don't have any play. And we do have 2 Fairy Seers, but we're quite, you know, the Breath Weapon, we're not going to hold Breath Weapon to try and get, you know, everything under the sun. I think I'm just going to try and Lorien Revealed. Carrion Feeder happens. So we are just going to Island Cycle, and then we're just going to try and scred this guy down still, I think. What do we? Man, that's a good draw as well. We could still just hold up Counterspell. I'm taking it as they've got like the sacrifice creature draw too. No, I'm going to Fairy Seer and try and scred in their turn. Don't love either of these too much. Brainstorm works well with Fairy Seer. I think I'm just going to have the Preordain as a better chance of finding a land. If they tap out to kill our guy, we'll scred their thing down, but so they sacrifice draw 2. And then they have a Mesmeric Fiend, but they don't have a way to sacrifice it, so we're getting that back. Again, Fairy Seer, Breath Weapon, not a clear-cut combo. They take the Breath Weapon still. It's very awkward having the Counterspell, but being unable to cast it. And I kind of think I'm just going to leave our guy back to block. Well, I'm going after the Bloodthorn Vampire. Keep them off of their kind of payoffs. Say kind of payoffs, explicitly their payoffs. Very nice to draw a Lorien Revealed there. I guess we can Preordain. No, we should Island Cycle first. We're always going to Island Cycle. We're always going to fetch a land here. And then I think we can Preordain. I don't want to play another Fairy Seer where we're quite likely to Breath Weapon soon. And then let's keep ourselves. Let's draw the Sprite. Again, they're more likely to have some interaction this time. But then we can Fairy Seer set up Augur next turn as well. We're just countering any 1-drop that comes our way. Taking our first point of damage. That's insane. I mean, this makes me think that there's they know about the cast into the fire, so this is definitely a corrupted conviction. But so Fairy Seer, Breath Weapon's so funny. Breath Weapon's done its job, being taken away. Bottom, top, Plate Walker. I tapped wrong there because we know it's a brainstorm. We could take a discharge. I think I want the brainstorm still. And then I'll attack with the Fairy Seer, not the Sprite, so if they want a conviction, I mean they can. Is that even good? I don't think it's that bad. Oh no! Got. I love Reaping the Graves. I'm surprised that's only 3. It felt like it was more. The gang is all here. Well, that relic's coming back. And we are going to struggle to pick apart this board. So sack the Blood-Throwing Vampire first. This is 2 3/3s, 2 4/4s. And we're getting our Breath Weapon back. How kind of them to give us back our Breath Weapon. But okay, just make 2 5/5s. Makes sense. So we can brainstorm and shuffle away these 2. I put look what's shown up, and then we're going to brainstorm, and it might well be that we brainstorm away the relic. So let's cast the brainstorm. Moonsucker Hacker is a very big game. Put back Breath Weapon. Put back Fairy Seer. I mean, we could just be racing at this point. They're not resolving their next spell. So I'm going to put back the cast into the fire. So we Fairy Seer to bottom both of those. We attack for 3. Pick up a Spell Stutter. And Scred is live. So I don't think we Scred yet because we want to be able to Spell Stutter this turn. Okay, we can Scred. Again, we're lucky they're drawing 7 lands. So we can shock the feeder, and if they sack it to keep the beetle around, they're still killing one of their 2 5/5s. Like, no control over the outcome, but you would win more over 1,000 games. That's my opinion anyway. So now we're taking 6. 6 is 3 turns. I think that's fine. Yeah, and then the relic turning up just afterwards. Quite interesting. This deck's so fun. Reaping is so good. It wasn't even that good at reaping. Sorry, just doing a bit of a typing. This is my opinion, and I'll stand by it, that there's definitely like more, very good Pauper decks out there. I don't think that, because of how Magic Online is, and I think I think it's easy for people who play a lot of Magic Online to think that Magic Online kind of covers everything. But I don't think it's that wrong, because it's where so much gets played. That Scred's pretty good. But I think there's definitely like more tier 1.5, tier 2 decks out there that haven't been played. I think that Magic Online players just see what, Firebows a lot, which is normally what has the most players. Like, before I had the qualifier with Mono Black, I was still getting like loads of 4/1s, a couple of 5, but because there's only one person playing it, like, if you win however 6% of your matches, was it 7% or something to get a trophy? And if you only play a league, like, what? I think I probably get like 2, maybe 2.5 leagues in a week. So yeah, you just don't get the depth of results unless the deck's really popular, which means all the decks that get seen are the really, really popular ones, not the ones that keep 4/1ing but have few pilots. Right, back for round 2. Gonna keep this. Looks like we're doing fairy things. I like hands with lots of interaction or like very Seer Moon Circuit Hacker, especially when it's got lands to support it as well. I might keep the Cast into the Fire. We can always discard it with a Hacker. And then bottom the Brainstorm. Because we've explicitly got Moonsucker Hacker this turn, makes me, normally I would rate killing a bridge out of Jund, say, pretty low. But if you can also, if you can do that with a Moonsucker Hacker in play, suddenly it becomes a lot more appealing. We trade a Bolt for Guy, which I'm just, not too unhappy about. And then we can fetch a red source on turn 2. No point, I guess, showing them just yet. Cast into Fire isn't doing too much for us at the minute. They are ping a burn, so the relics, showing it getting some value. Definitely get a red source, we just need to be able to bolt some of these things. Then we'll just island cycle. And I kind of just want to pass with counterspell up. Because we don't have, they grab the prize now. So we have to counterspell this because we don't have a removal spell, which is why we led that way. But I'd much rather counterspell a grab the prize than a guy that we've actually got 8 ways to deal with in the deck. I'm going to keep the relic. Maybe I won't. We'll see what we draw. I was thinking that we'll keep the relic so that we can catch like a Faithless Looting or something at instant speed. We don't need the Scred straight away, but we do want to have access to it. So let's go top, top. Okay, so we can't actually draw to the Spell Pierce now anyway. So let's just pass with a Volatile Forward up. So play the Volatile Forward, pass with the Relic up. We do have a Spell Pierce, so we do have a blue that could represent a Spell Pierce. If anything, that's quite nice because, it might make them, if they do grab the prize, it resolves. They're never going to expect it on the second turn. But I'm a bit worried about, we've already got the Cast into the Fire that we can't use. I'm not expecting them to have a target. And then if we also get a Spell Pierce that we're going to struggle to find a target for, that's not a great look. I think in my head I could find a way to get to the Spell Pierce this turn, but I missed that this comes into a tap land. Let's just tap this now. Obviously this is going to resolve, but then we're going to Scred it in our turn. So we'll have to preordain into the Scred, I guess, but that's not the end of the world. That's kind of fun. I know we can't take both. So I think I'm going to take the Scred over the Hacker. I was thinking, could we go into combat attack, draw the other thing, and then Scred their guy? We're still going to do it because it might make them think. So we go to our declare blockers step. Okay, they don't let us. So we Scred this, because we don't want to take any more damage off of it. We could Spell Pierce this. I don't think we need to. Probably do need to crack Relic in their end step or something so that we can play our Moon Circuit Hacker. That resolves, unfortunately for us. Stupid Spell Pierce. It's a shame to crack Relic when they're playing a deck. Crack Relic and only cycle it, but we have to get rid of the Lava Dart to play the Hacker on our turn. Okay. I think so again, we've got Spell Pierce in hand. If they want to sacrifice a land to do us 1 damage, I think that's a good trade for us. So we'll just play a Hacker. I don't think maybe we do Island Cycle. I think that there's a decent... No, I am going to Island Cycle. I was going to say, I think there's a decent chance that we would just tap out and play that next turn if we did draw a land. But we've also got like monarch creatures that we'd like to play with mana up if we drew one. Shame that the relic's gone. I'm just going to get my value here whilst I can. Yep, hacker down. We couldn't quite keep the hacker in play anyway. Well, you know, we're saying if we drew a land, we would just tap out and play it. We did basically do that turn cycle. So we're effectively at 12. This Cast into the Fire has been haunting us all game. And I think it could have been a Brainstorm as well, which would have shuffled away the Cast into the Fire. Blind Augur. If this hits, I think we're in good shape. If it finds a removal spell, if it bricks, we're in a bit of trouble. I'm going to keep the island as Brainstorm food. Again, we've got so many lands, and an untapped land in hand is not a bad place to be. So we're effectively at 11, and their spells do 4 damage, or their bolts do 4 damage a pop. At least the counterspell covers, and then there's no point keeping 2 cards we want to shuffle away, so we'll play the lands out once we reach a critical mass of dead stuff in hand. So the spell setter doesn't do anything whilst they've got a dart, but it would at least draw a dart its way. Yeah, we've got a counterspell for like a grab the prize is kind of the exciting thing about our position. I guess spell setter does counter a lava dart that's coming at our face. Monarch creature's a good draw. I think there's a fairly real risk we are just dead. Fiery Temper the face. I think we have to let that happen. So we're effectively at 7 and they've got 3 cards and they're drawing 1 for the turn. Let's Brainstorm, because if we can kill this whilst they're tapped low, we'll take the opportunity. Let's put back... kind of want to put back these 2 Lauren Revealed to shuffle and Brainstorm again. And that would mean we only have 2 mana up, which is only the counterspell really. So let's put back these 2 and then just take our... I didn't mean... yeah, that was a mistake. Oh well. Didn't mean to shuffle away the Brainstorm and kind of lock us out of that as an option. So we're going to counter this. We get down to 8. They have 2 cards in hand. 8 is effectively 6. Potentially 7 if we get to Sprite the Lava Dart. Okay, that adds up quite quickly. So we're down to 3. Another Fire Blast. Yeah, okay. That was tough. We had a couple of turns where if we'd have drawn like an island, you know, we were very close, I think, to turning the corner there. Some of those turns where we drew island and so on that just didn't quite, well, didn't actually do anything for us. So I want relics and I want blue blasts and just fight over that. I'm going to cut the Admiral for a red because I don't want to get 4-drop blue blasted or red blasted. Cut the Cast into the Fire. I think I've been cutting the Spell Pierce because it just can be a pain to get to line up properly. I've been cutting a couple of counter spells, and I don't want, you know, it's important to have a bolt, but I don't want, these are much worse than bolts in this matchup. I think I was cutting the Screds previously and having the discharges, or having the lightning bolts, but now Scred is, I guess, better than energy. I think I'm happy with this. Cool. So I've got generally I've had a pretty good matchup into this. Like I say, I think on that game, okay, we lost it, but I think there was, you know, game 1 against Mono Red is typically a pretty rough place for a lot of decks. And we had a decent shot at winning it from one point in the game at least. So let's mulligan this. It's a shame to mulligan because we could keep it, but it comes into play tap land on turn 1 is just too slow. Let's keep this. I think I'm tempted to put back the fairies here. Or alternatively the preordain. I think I'm going to put back the preordain. And then are we even going to lead on turn 1 Fairy Seer, or just, I think we lead on turn 1, get a volatile forward. And then we can Fairy Seer. Although, if we draw that, I think I don't want Fairy Seer. Because I can happily play Fairy Seer and then Sprite, and they can't really break up the 2 Fairy combo. They plot a highway robbery. We play a Fairy Seer, and would love to see a land. 2 land. I'll have 2 lands. Top. Again, it's a bit of a slow. We're signing ourselves up not to draw any gas for the next 2 turns, but I think I might just counterspell this. Obviously, downside, they could grab the prize. There's lots of things they could do. What, like 3 damage to this, 3 damage to us? Grab the prize, discard Snacker is by far and away the worst thing for us. This is, it's good for them in that they get to sweep our guy. But, okay, so I really don't want to see a Snacker or a Lava Dart. Fire Blast is fine. Happy to see a Fire Blast go away. Kind of tempted to just fire the Sprite at this. I'll just counterspell it, we'll just let it happen. No, the blood token is relevant. I'll just fire a counterspell at this. Counterspell being 2 mana is quite a lot of mana. So I don't think the coast is clear for our spell stutter to resolve yet. Tough spot knowing that we've got a Lauren revealed on top. I don't want to get in a huge drag out fight over this. I'm just going to let that happen. We have successfully traded some resources. And then I think we're back in the same situation where we're island cycling. I'll probably get a volatile forward again. And then this kind of sets us up. I didn't think they used to play, or they tended to play Epicure in this deck. Obviously it makes it a bit better against Monarch. And then the dream is that they play a 2 mana spell, we try and Hydro Blast or Blue Blast it, and then they Red Blast and we snipe that. I'm going to play the land here rather than hold it for Brainstorm just yet. And then we're taking 3 off this. We're not going to get into Blue Blaster Bolt. We are going to Blue Blast this. And then hopefully they Red Blast. They don't. Hopefully they play another 1 mana spell. So we need to draw something. We are slowly getting taken out by the Epicure. Does this look familiar to anyone? It's quite a lot like the last turn cycle. So we don't have any card draw, life gain in our deck, so our 10 life points, the only 10 life points we are working with. Life points? Is that what you call it? I think it is. But our patience pays off and we finally get to Sprite something. Then we draw a Fairy Seer, which is fine. Ugh. Okay, Fairy Seer was pretty good. Just going to attack. So if they can bring back the Snacker, we're in a bit of trouble. This gives us a turn to draw a bolt. And do we trade? I think so. Right off the top. So obviously the bolt there is on our upper end of draws, but it's not right at the top with like a Lauren Revealed or a Monarch. So we're at 10, effectively 9. Faithless Looting is like their best draw. I think we have to counter this, which is a shame. Basically, we just have to hit one of our gassy things before they hit one of theirs. We can't play the hacker when they've got a Lava Dart, but it triggers a Augur, for example, again, would be great. I'm going to keep that now for Brainstorm. But we are running out of time, and their ability to add 10 is okay. I like the Relic. Gets the Lava Dart, gets the Snacker. Okay, I like it less if they're just going to start bolting us and just kill us. Still going to keep that forward then. I feel like this game has gotten away from us. The mountain being a dead draw for them is helpful. Do we play out a sprite? I think we do. If they bolt it, it's essentially countering a trading for a yeah, if they bolt it, it's essentially trading anyway, and if we get to do the draw, you can see this is a similar position of if they bolt it, it's essentially an extra counter spell. Wow. I don't think I'd won that game yet. Opponent just felt they had too many lands. Well, we'll take it. Any changes to sideboarding? So we saw the Epicure, which meant we might slightly less like the Admiral. Maybe I just want an extra spell pierce or some extra bolts. Kind of what went wrong to put us in a position where we were, I think that game we were definitely losing at one point. Did we just mulligan? We mulliganed to 6, right? We both mulliganed to 6, but we were on the play. I don't know. I think they just got in for quite a lot of damage with the Vordor and Epicure. I think I'm just going to run it back as is. Maybe it's maybe like the spell pierce over preordain, but it's nice to have the luxury to switch your monarch creatures over. Okay. This is not a keep. This is a keep. Put back one of the 2 forwards. Then what, lead on a forward here? Kind of tempting to lead on Relic, because then they can't grab the prize of Snacker, but actually I kind of like that, as weird as it is. Then we can still landscape and augur that turn. Okay. I'm calling a very specific shot. So now, this turn, we can't counter with a Relic. But I think, do we? Do we augur, or do an augur and a volatile forward, or landscape? Sorry, volatile forward and fairy seer, or augur. Fairy seer being a fairy in play for our spell setter does help. 2 screds. I think I need one of these. I can't keep the other. This means the augur's missing, or the augur's blind still. Whereas if we'd have kept both, we would have guaranteed a hit. But I think we just need to have a chance to find a land. If we don't, and I think it's quite likely we don't augur there. That we, yeah, like here we're definitely passing with spell setter and 2 fairies. Scred this guy. Relic you. Just attack for 1. They haven't highway robbery yet, right? That's still an exile. Yeah. Bit greedy of them not to. So we're taking 1 here, but then we're going to try and sprite anything they play. Hopefully it's a 1-drop. I'm going to let this resolve because, so what I've just said, sprite anything they'll play. I'm going to let this resolve because I think that the chance of getting a successful spriting off on something when they've got 3 mana up is, non-existent. And our patience pays off in quite a big way. So we can preordain to find a land. We miss, but we find a spell stutter. I think that's fine. And then just attack for 2. Not interested in trading a valuable fairy. Spell stutter now can still be countered by a red blast, but at this point I'd throw it at a 2-drop. Well, here we're going to let them put the Fiery Temple on the stack. And then that guarantees that we get the grab the prize. Guarantees that we grab the prize, eh? So we're down at 10. I'll trade here. We've got another spell. We've got the ninja to be a spell stutter in hand. So we can stop taking that damage now. Attack for 2. Trigger ninjutsu. Draw a card. Love a land. Here's a land. Tap relic, target you. So we're down at 10. We've got a relic in play, which is an extra card and covers us against some of some of what they could have. We have a sprite which they know about, and I'm kind of happy to just throw that out as a counterspell for a bolt. Yeah, because we kind of need to play the sprite this turn to justify not having played the Augur already. If we tap these two, we are kind of committing to not. We're committing, we're showing that we don't have a blue blast. So this is okay. Do we fetch another red source, or do we crack the relic and just get rid of this looting? I don't really want them to have a looting. Find another relic. Let's go to combat, attack for 3 and get a loot trigger. Don't think it's obvious what to discard yet, so we'll have this to help us decide. So our two choices are Augur or Commodore. They will have a hard time killing us from 2 cards, even 3 cards. It's doable. 3 cards on a blood token. But I think we're not dead next turn. I don't think the Relic's doing much. I think the Lorien's doing the least. I think I'm discarding Lorien, playing the landscape, playing the big show. He likes to get bolted, and then leaving up a blue source for a blast, because what we've got 5 blasts in our deck. I was going to say Relic doesn't do anything to stop a snacker because they have a thing in hand, but it would just save us a mana if we play it. Obviously, we'll feel bad if we die, draw a blue blast and just get bolted out. I'm going to take my scaredy cat approach. Perfect. That's very nice. Obviously, we counter this on the stack, so we don't take any extra damage, even if they have a red blast, and we've done it. So, the matchup against red is not comfortable. I think we probably could have won game 1 if we played that 100 times. Game 2, I don't know why they conceded. Game 3, we narrowly got there. But that puts us at 2-0. Right, so we're at 2-0 going into round 3. We're going to keep this hand. It looks like we're quite likely to be able to monarch on turn 4. So we can sequence away where we get a red source. Okay. Mono White Heroic. I've not played this yet. It's kind of picked up in popularity since I've picked up our deck. We've got a very say. If we see a sprite, that's very good for us. We do see a sprite. Do we want Brainstorm? I've already got one. So they're not high on removal spells in their hand. And they've got no card draw. They're just going to try and stick a bunch of things on this and hope it works. Pro blue, because you would expect that this is mono blue Fae, but that's not actually that good for you. Trying to work out whether we play the landscape. I think we do. I don't see a world where they don't cast a spell that we want spell to spike this turn. But if they don't, we can get a red source and preordain. But the hope is that this is the turn they have their ethereal armor. What? What? You've gone too deep there. Sentinel's Eyes. So the annoying thing is that the thing that works well with this has flash. This makes it a 1/7 with with ward. And you played this, so you might. So this make it a 1. No, sorry. This would make it a 1/5 next time with ward. So that does get discharged. But if we counter this and they have the ethereal armor, we're just in the bin. Okay, I can't. Not liking the idea of them having a hyena umbra, because we might actually be able to kill it once. Discharge actually works quite well against ward, because we can target our own creature the first time. Kind of think we brainstorm. Because we see another sprite. Yeah, great. Great news. Put back Augur. or Lorenville Auger. Play another island. We can attack for 2. Again, pro blue can't block. So what we've got to worry about is another land means that this does start a rumbling. The armadillo starts a rumbling. I think I'm now going to counter this. I don't feel great about it. You know, if it does, it's clear. They've got 1 card left. Obviously, it's the card that they are trying to hold up through counter spells. It could well be Ethereal Armor. It's a Spirit Link. That is not Ethereal Armor. So, I mean, we can just make a 5/2. Their pump thing doesn't force through that. Another spell, and they would get the Monarch, but then we just trade it back and forth. I'm also tempted by like Fairy Seer, try and set up, like fetch a mountain, try and set up to have another either island, like another, well, sorry, another burn spell. I think it's quite close. If we augur, I'm just going to play the Monarch. Let's not overthink it. So best case, I know they've got a Sentinel's Eyes. That's not good. But they don't have another card in the graveyard. So if they draw like a land, we can just block. And if they're staying home, they're losing. So not necessarily expecting this combat's going to go, oh, okay. Sweet. Sweet. Well, that was a risky play, but it paid off. Island cycle, get an island, play an island, mountain cycle, island cycle again. Again, they, need to rebuild a board, so they're just not going to have another creature, right? We're going to counterspell it. We're going to discharge before they pump their guy. I don't see why they attack there. I know I just said that if they stay home, they're losing, but at least they'd have lost. At least it'd be a bit slower. Okay, so that makes sense for the 2 cards that they have drawn. And this guy does grow quite quickly. He's got 2/6 now. He's a 2/6 on the ground without any protection. The relic's actually relevant, which is funny. He gets one of their Sentinel's Eyes. Scred is also relevant. Play Augur, get a Scred. We don't have a lot of sideboard for this matchup, do we? I think it's pretty unfavourable. I don't think we're as huge a dog to this as some decks are. But the blue-black Fae would be much better positioned. Some of the time, the opponent's deck will make a guy with a huge butt, but will, actually apply pressure. I guess that's kind of what I've described. Like, that's kind of this game. But rather than them attacking with it and losing it, it will just be that we could save up to have 2 Screds. They have no card in hand. We have 6 snow permanents. Scred your guy. And we'll cycle Relic as well, just no point letting them keep the 2 Sentinel's Eyes. Yeah, I'd say this is quite a lucky. We took a very high risk, high reward turn that paid off. Can't lose those Sentinel's Eyes. Again, just Relic. It does just do everything. Only a little bit, but it does do everything. Breath Weapon, not in business for any of these. I don't think we want more relics. I don't think we want a Commodore. I don't want to cast into the fire. I have a cycling. Spell with cycling over a cast into the fire. Everything else I think stays. The monarch creatures are again quite risky. Maybe I'll cut one of these for another relic. I don't know. I'm just going to run it. The advantage of the relic is that it's cheaper. It's 2 mana to draw a card as opposed to 4, right? And that's basically all, all we need them to do. The disadvantage is that spending 2 mana across the first 2 turns is so expensive. No, we should be on the relics. Like the monarch's just not necessary. That was greedy. I still need to write down a sideboard plan. Okay, I'm gonna keep. I think I'm going to keep this. This hand could definitely lose. Now we're going to Fairy 6, we've got the Hacker. It's tough because I do want Lorien into a red source. But that stops us from hacking. I think I'm just going to bottom. I think Lorien into a red source is too slow. No, I think I have to keep it. I think I might still hack rather than Lorien though. We'll see what they do. I guess that they're probably going to want a Benevolent Blessing on red this game rather than blue. That stupid Totem Armor. I hate Totem Armor so much. As a mechanic. Wow, but I don't have a second land. What does that mean? Does that mean we're more likely to Mooncycle hack them? I think so. Like we have a bit more time, so actually getting a bit of greed, a bit of value. And then do we Lorien Revealed for a red source, or play the Fairy Seer, or play a Preordain? I think I'm going to Fairy Seer. I hate Hyena so much. I think that ways that we win this game include just blocking this to High Heaven. Like, it just becoming a huge. I'm going to bottom both of these. They find their land. They Blessing, presumably on red. No, I think they just do blue again, don't they? Like 7 damage through a number. Yeah. So I'd love to find a counter. Do we think we're ever discharging them out of town? Or is it just going to be a race that we're set up to lose? I think I can discard one of the 2 Augurs. Play a Preordain. I think I'm liking the Scred now, though. We've not got a counter spell, almost pivoting to, alright, you have a turn to go nuts. But I don't know, we need another red source to be able to deal with the Umbra. They've drawn 2 lands in a row, that's good for them. The butt grows bigger. Okay, yeah, that was not a good turn. If we brainstorm to try and find a mount, no, we're just never dealing 11. Fairy Seer first. I don't think we can even keep this. Well, they've got 2 Umbras. Yeah, we just not got a shot. Okay. So that game is an example of how it goes very wrong. I'd be heroic, much better than ward, just straight up. I'm going to cut the Admiral because it's blue for a guy that can block if they have pro blue. I think that is worth more than a relic because this can essentially be a turn of fog. And with that, let's get back into it. I think we kept a bad hand for the matchup that didn't get better. This hand is medium. The idea is that we're brainstorming to set up Augur, but realistically we're most likely playing a Sprite on turn 2. Oh, that's a good draw. Put back Preordain and the landscape. Draw the landscape, play an Augur. So it means that we don't have a counter spell this turn. I think yeah, I mean they do have some 2-mana creatures, like the heroic flying guy. And obviously I've got to think they keep hand with creatures in it. Yeah, I'm going to drop an Augur. If they play a 1-mana creature, then they got me. Then we'll take a discharge. Although, obviously, not having a red source until turn 4 is very slow against their ways to grow a creature's ass. So that's as we expected. We're just playing the Volatile Fraud and attacking for 1. Pro black and red. I think I'm going to counter that. Pro green and blue. Sure. you don't have another spell, then that's dischargeable. And we can pick up the spell stutter sprite to have a counter, but if they target it, they get to keep that guy from heroic. Still think we attack, and then if we draw a ninja, we can scred. So if we draw off the ninja, we can scred. So we could brainstorm to look for a scred. I'm not sure what I'm going to cheat and look up not cheat. I'm going to look up a list. So there don't seem to be a million, or there don't seem to be tons of 1 mana instants that they would have. I think I'm going to play the landscape. But then I guess that if we go to their turn, like if there's not many 1 mana, if there's not many instants they have, then we can just do this on their turn in response to this heroic trigger. Try and discharge. I think you know about this from the augur, so you should have a spell. You don't have a spell. Did we not show you this? Yeah, you knew we had that. I guess that you just got to go for it. Another one. That's quite funny. So we can brainstorm and then get a red source. Or augur into one of these. Kind of like just auguring into it. Augur, show a brainstorm. Or discharge. I guess we didn't need to do this now, but yeah, we've got the spell stuff to cover the next creature. Okay, so I think we got quite lucky overall to win this match. I don't think this is a good matchup. It's something that it could it's like Boggles, but at least we can interact. We do have some things. Annul is the obvious option if we want to improve this. Was it? There was one. There's like a bounce spell that doesn't target. But I think there's enough. I don't know. Back for round 4, we're on the play, and I'm gonna keep. We're gonna have a job to do to get the lands we need, but we've got kind of a fairy thing going on, which is one of our 2 criteria to keep. Let's see whether they're on us to whether we island cycle or FaridWolf. So this is more like the rally red. I think I'm gonna island cycle. Sorry, yeah, island cycle this. The point being that we might well want to get a red source to kill a guy. Is there any world where we get ourselves just play another one of these? Double fetch? No, there's not. So fetch and get mounted now because we know we're doing that. Play this to scry. Love another mountain, to be honest. Don't love it, but it's good enough. Is it good enough? Doesn't cast this. I don't love it. Do I want the spell pierce? I think I'm gonna live with the spell pierce. Well, let's see where the roulette stops. Okay. It's tough. It's not necessarily unbeatable, but it's gonna be tough. Guess we attack. We're taking another 4 next turn, but hopefully we're gonna get to spite something. If they have a bolt for this, it's so sad. I think we just lose this game. Like, you could say that we don't play something into this bolt here, but I don't know. How would that have played out? We wouldn't play, so we'd still have the bolt in the spite in hand. We'd basically spell pierce this, bolt this, fetch an island. I mean, I guess maybe we're not actually straight dead. We're straight dead. Yeah. That wasn't patient, and I think the kind of, how I've been winning most is by just being as insanely patient, not as insanely patient, being patient as much as we can. So adding sweepers, adding blue blast, cutting monarch creatures, the spell pierce, some counter spells, and maybe I cut a discharge, maybe the preordain or the fairy seer. The Catch into Fire is a bit better against this opponent. And then we've got breath weapon. I'm gonna cut the fairy seer. No. Is Cast into Fire good still? I think it is. It's just it's good enough. Is fairy seer better than like the 13th spot removal spell now that we've got breath weapons? I think I can keep a fairy seer and cut one of these. Cool, cool. I guess the dream is that we win this game and don't show them breath weapon. And we might be showing them breath weapon. This is a risky keep. If we keep and they just like turn one Tomb Raider, like Furnace Tomb Raider, I don't see how we're ever winning. Well, I do it. We draw a mountain, but I don't think we can afford to mulligan this. Like, we're on the play, so we've got less cards, but like, the opponent's deck is so consistent that if we, if we put ourselves down on a couple of cards, we could very easily just, find a way to lose, even though we have like a hand that comes together. So here we get to hold up Counterspell, which we'll use over the Blue Blast. Again, see what we draw, but you can see us playing the Ninja. If they want to take a turn off and bolt the Ninja, then I'm kind of fine with that. Yeah. So this is the problem we've had, where we've got these breath weapons, but then we've got like so many other pieces of interaction, and we can't afford to bank on drawing a breath weapon. Sorry, bank on like taking a load of damage until we do the breath weapon. I think I'm going to counter this. If they, just Ren's Resolve or something, I'm going to feel like a muppet. But either way, it's a damage a turn, and it buys itself back, right? If we're just literally trading card for card, then I would rather them have the percussionist, or not have the percussionist, sorry, and just stop it early on. Okay, so this looks like they have something good. Okay, we've got 2 breath weapons. I'm taking this as they've got like a Ren's Resolve. They want to a Ren's Resolve. Bushwhacker. Bushwhacker I'm not that fussed about, but 4 damage I am. Well, this is a bolt. It's a bolt this turn and a damage. It gets upgraded next turn. Don't love it. Again, like almost, they've got cards in hand. They've got to be something. So the more damage we take cheaply by not blasting that. Let's put back these 2. Fairy Seer, bottom both. I think I would trade with the Bushwhacker if given the opportunity. I'm going to do this because it intrigues me what they might do. So I'm not sure if I'm okay with this. Like, if we just draw a, what's it, like a Augur bonus, we're just kind of okay. Augur, one of our 2 mountains. Yeah. Again, I think we lose. I think we got a bit greedy on our, not greedy on a keep. Our keep didn't come together. We didn't draw badly. So this really wants to see a mountain. We're in trouble. Augur's fine. Augur's allowed. Yeah, we didn't get that off of our draw, essentially, which we knew was a bit of a risk. Actually, things lined up pretty well. We just didn't draw the mountain, right? I'm going to let this happen. We take 2, but keep this in hand, and then we've got the Augur to gum up the board. Obviously, gummed up the board 1 creature at a time. This kind of looks like this. You can sometimes almost just have too many. Well, it depends if you've got another one. It's obviously really good, but you can sometimes just have too many of your like blasts and things, and just not quite enough bolts. Oof, that's That's a bad mess. Okay, well, we lose this one. Even if we draw a mountain, like, we're never winning at 2 life with them at 20. Yeah, just turn slow. I think I would keep that hand again. Like, things lined up. We got the counterspell on a 2-drop on turn 2. We drew a bunch of blasts. We just, we've got what, 4 of these, 4, we didn't draw the red source when we needed. We essentially saw 4 dead cards this game. Right, we are back again, and we're going to keep again. We've got a spell set sprite and a dream. Try and spell set sprite something on turn 3. What could go wrong? Lead on the forward. So supposed to like something on their turn 3 is what I meant to say. I just realised it didn't make any sense. I was like, oh, turn 3 is really slow. Why did I keep this? They flip turn 1. That's not great for us. Or flip turn 2, the first opportunity. Second over is also not great for us. But I think it's very likely they will play something into either counterspell or sprite. We could play the landscape to get another red source, but and again, I think we will, like, we're spriting first, so we're spriting over counterspelling most things. So we will lead on. We could have played the landscape, basically. Do I sprite to just trade? Which if they have a counterspell, it's not great. It doesn't work with our ninjas. Right. So if they have a counterspell, they have a counterspell. Do we sprite? Do we counterspell and save our sprite? I don't think we can. Okay. I'd love to see it. A deep analysis. That sets them back a turn on the old, what do you call it? Sets them back a card on the old graveyard filling. We're going to Moon Circuit Hacker, repick up our spell setter. Draw a card. Okay. Another blind flip, right? They've not set this up. And it bricks again. That's good for us. They could play a 4-mana snake here. Obviously, we'll spell. They didn't have a counterspell last time. We're going to slam Sprite on it on any 1-drop. This is too many Moon Circuit Hackers, though. More Moon Circuit Hackers than we would have wanted. This trade works out well for us. Especially because they've not made any progress. Like, if they have 2 1-drops, I'm not sure if that, like a Thought Scour and a Ponder, I'm not sure they wouldn't just feed us a Ponder. I think looting isn't that much worse than drawing in this turn, so we can Fairy Seer to set up, try and again finding a red spell, a removal spell. We do. Bottom, top, attack for 2. I think I'm probably discarding one of the 3 hackers that are in our hand. Playing the landscape to hold up Sprite, and whilst they're tapped out, we can just kill the one that's definitely a Delver. And so go. So another miss is so good for us. Yeah, it's about time. And we're slamming a spell stutter on this, right? Is there any, like, it's really hard to justify not. They've got 3 cards. This would be 4, counterspell would be 5. So they know about the spell stutter. Okay, I'm talking myself into letting this happen. They know about the spell stutter. If we spell stutter this, they counterspell and they have a terror, they can just play it. If they have a counterspell, otherwise they can't, or they tap out to play the terror. And then we can just fight in combat. I don't know that actually that we would fight in combat, because currently these 2 are both drawing cards with hackers. There's bits I like about having this resolve. Basically, it comes down to, like, if I can keep them If I can keep them from doing a terror, make a bunch of guys this turn, I think I'm in pretty good shape. Like pretty good shape, reasonably good shape. We're not ahead. Opponent now has to think about how they brainstorm. I guess how they brainstorm, knowing that we know that they've got a sprite. Okay, so this is filling up. This wasn't on my radar, but it's a way to fill up the graveyard for snake. This is 5. I can take 3 one more time. That's snake. Then I think I get a red source. So our options are taking the opportunity to resolve Azure Fleet Admiral, and then what we'd be looking at, try and block terror, potentially double block and just trade, and then chump the Delver. Other option is to ninjutsu back the fairy, draw a card, scry, hold up sprite. I'm kind of liking playing the Admiral. It's a big swing. Like if they have a way to tap down this, they get the Monarch for a turn. I mean, that does go pretty badly. We can Fairy Seer draw a card first. That kind of, if we're respecting Spell Pierce, doesn't really lose us anything. No, it loses us a tapped and untapped blocker. I'm just going to go. We are the Monarch. Let's go to our end step and see what we draw. A Brainstorm. I think I might I'll hold up mana and then maybe Brainstorm in their turn. I think I want to use it because our mana is precious. No effects before combat seems very good for us. Double block. So, I mean, we can beat a snake or two. I think we've got a good chance of beating one snake. Brainstorm, if you have a Spell Pierce, Scred is good. Put back a hacker that we're a turn away from drawing in a volatile forward. Are we hacking, and yeah, I think we put back these two. Basically, we're hacking, spriting, and scredding, right? In some combination. I think I'm gonna basically try this, which is chump, try and scred in their upkeep, and have sprite as a backup. We have a counterspell as well. Yeah, that's pretty good. You are the Monarch now. Obviously we're okay, just dead. Yeah, that's tough. I think we get more out of post-board games than they do. We've got 5 red blasts, 2 relics. I don't want the cast into the fire. I don't really want a red 4-drop. I don't want the spell pierce. I always do this. I forget how many cards we have to cut. I don't want the fairy seer because again they've got so many 1-drops. We don't need them. They don't have that many removal spells. They might have like a couple of gut shots, but that's not good enough to warrant keeping the fairy seers. I've been cutting some bolts, so I can still cut some discharges, but obviously the discharges get better in multiples. But they don't get that much better. Like killing a 1-mana delve and then being able to kill a snake matters. Otherwise, it's hard to say that counts. I might cut all the discharges still and keep the fairy seer. I don't think we need like more monarch stuff for value. This is a tough one. So it is red, but it also trades with snakes. Is that better than Admiral? Alright. And we're on the play. Fairy seer is also good on the play. No, I'm gonna keep to the blue. More about being able to drop it on a turn that the coast is, or easiest drop on a turn where the coast is clear. Play this, turn 1 get a mountain, yeah. Turn 1 get a mountain, then island cycle this. No, I guess we island cycle first. I don't think it matters. The point is that we're fairy searing on that turn. If we get a mountain, then we can, just naturally draw an island. Still don't think it's necessarily for sure that we want to red blast this. Like if it doesn't flip, I think we're going to island cycle. Just get an island, stop in their upkeep, and see if they try and flip like brainstorm. No, they don't. So now I wish I'd have just red blasted it. If we got them to brainstorm and like try and set it up, it would have been quite good to snag. As is, we just used a blue mana instead of a red mana, and we could have used the blue mana for something else. Kind of tempted to brainstorm first. If they spell pierce, I guess we'll play the island first. Put back one of the fairy seers and a Lorien, or a Lorien, a fairy seer. And now I think I'll pass and just try and spell stutter something. Again, gut shot's on our radar, but gut shot and counterspell are on our radar, but it's a big game to get something. I can't actually remember what we put back. There was a Lorien and a fairy seer, right? Oh, I can't remember. And then they draw it. What? So they had the gut shot, but they just didn't use it. Wow. Not red blasting this is continuing to pay off. And that it's not flipped and is not doing that much damage. I think we're just putting two fairies into play. It's gotta flip at some point. Sure. So one of the things they could have is 4 mana for a what do you call it? Mystic, but obviously they've got blue blast, they never on red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we will red blast a terror if they play one. Obviously they might blue blast counter spell. Sorry, blue blast spell pierce. There's things they could have. We've left up red mana very consistently, so we're not doing a great game of concealing our information. Can't believe they let us count like spell stuff to sprite something when they had the answer. Kind of tempted to brainstorm first and put back one of these fairy seers at least. Ooh, relic's nice. Put back these two. Keeping the tap land sucks, but play this first so that we can pay for a spell pierce. Now I kind of want to just play a fairy seer and just scry some stuff to the bottom. If they were to have gone hard to fill up their graveyard, I probably would have cracked relic. I could still crack it now. I think I might. If I crack it and they have a Lorien revealed, that sucks. An untapped land and a Lorien revealed. Otherwise, 2 mana terrors are still plenty good. Yeah, let's not try and get fancy. So I don't think we've got any real information on what they have. They are trying to refill the graveyard. Kind of going quite hard to do so. Don't have a lot of mana untapped. I think the chances are pretty high that we'll be trying to red blast this guy. Because they're going to have 4 cards in hand. Obviously sprites are going to be good draws for us with the 2 extra fairy seers in play. We've got 4 red blasts still. They got shot down our ninja. So that kind of dissuades us from red blasting their guy. And it could be that we have, I'm going to play the shuffle source. Yeah, it could be that we cracked a turn too early because they kind of had to use a load of cards to refill their graveyard. But if they had, so I'm going to stop now and brainstorm back. Okay, so they've got 3 cards. We're going to put back Island and Relic, and probably want to try and Relic before we, sorry, draw before we crack the landscape now. I think we just sprite this. No. No, I don't think we do. We're going to start with a red blast on, like whenever we fight, it's going to start on a red blast. So we can sprite whatever they counter the red blast with. So it kind of, although it doesn't directly counter a terror, it still contributes to the counter war. They've got plenty of land, not very many snakes. We're going to kind of try and counter a blue spell. And then we're going to try and spell stutter this. So, I mean, even if they have another counter, it means they don't have any more. That would mean they don't have any more snakes. We're only facing a maximum of one snake. We are facing one snake. They've got a lot of land, but I am going to draw and fetch now, get an island. Relic, crack relic. We do it that order because if we draw like a fairy, we've got a lot of fairy seers in play, but a fairy seer or a brainstorm, we could set this up. As is, it is blind. Blind, but not bad. Choice as to whether we red blast this or try and save it for their turn. Lorians are their, like, Lorien is their best draw, or our best red blast target, because they don't have, because they've used two. You know, so many of their other draws are just basically Cryptic Serpents, aren't they? So, get that whilst the coast is clear. Make sure we're not losing quickly. Can't believe they were like 30 cards in and they only had 2 snakes. Delver could buy us some time, or you know, it could flip immediately and be a problem. So they have 6 lands, so they can't quite. What am I saying? They can't quite terror for 1 mana. Otherwise, I'd have done the same thing and waited a turn to. Oh, sorry, cycle this. Try and find a way to flip the. To make sure that Augur hits. They draw a blue blast. We would trade 2 fairy seers for a insectile aberration. I think I'm going to keep this for brainstorm purposes. Don't know how many brainstorms we've used, have left. Okay, we've used 3 of them. I'm going to let them brainstorm and keep our counterspell. I think there's better things for us to counterspell than just, you know, we're not at the point where we're not at the point where we're actually winning on board and we can really afford to counterspell willy-nilly. We do need to, you know, just counterspell to keep their cards behind them in the sequence they are on top of the deck, if that makes sense. Behind the brainstorm in the sequence they are on top of the deck. We want to let this resolve and then counter a spell that matters. And, you know, we're through 2 snakes. We need to get through another 6. This is number 1 of those 6. Delver again. I find it really hard to counterspell Delver. Imagine they find it hard to attack because of potential of having a ninja. So this reads to me like a gut shot. So we know there is a Hydroblast in their top 3 cards. We're going to Scred now. I don't think they would have kept the Hydroblast. They haven't. So that card isn't a Hydroblast. And then I'm going to keep keeping the landscape, I think. Again, it's not great as a shuffle, but it is just good to make them have to think about more stuff. They've set this up. Okay, that was why they kept the Delver. And they have a Thought Scour. So it might be about time for us to, after the Thought Scour resolves, to crack the Relic to see that card that we've got saved up in it. To move the Hydroblast. We counterspell this. I think we've got enough mana we can. No, I think we just crack the Relic now. Moon Circuit Hacker. What a dream. And a brainstorm. So we can brainstorm to try and set up the auger. Hang on. Brainstorm, put back something in a spell. Moon Circuit Hacker, draw the something else. Yeah. And if there's not a spell, okay, there is. That's just really good. Put back this, then this. Attack for 3. Blue, pick up this. Draw the landscape. Play the auger. Find a red blast because it's better anyway. Scred this guy. Play the landscape. I shouldn't have played the landscape because it's a loot for the hacker. Cool. We kind of navigated our way through there. I think a lot of that came down to them not having terrors until quite late on, but again, I don't know. Tough to say. If they had, maybe we would have found a target for the red blasts. Those delvers caused quite a problem, so I'm tempted to have some discharges back in, and then cut a fairy seer, maybe 2 fairy seers, maybe just 1. It's tough looking at all of this pile of red removal spells. These 9 and saying, what if I want more discharges? Because if we have a scred, we don't have that. We don't have that much time to make sure we draw the perfect discharge, if you know what I mean. If the one that's in our hand is a scred and there's a delver attacking us, we need to scred it, and that means that later on we might just draw a discharge and it not be good. Yes, hello discharge. Right, so opponent is deciding whether to play first. They are. And I'm gonna keep this. It's got lands. It's got a fairy to make them have to think a little bit. It's got 2 fairies. So this hand, matches up quite well in, I say quite well. This hand is happy to play into what they had in game 2, but is less happy, if they just play a big pile of fairies out, a big pile of snakes out. Let's fetch for an island, then we'll play the fairy seer. And I think I can top. I think I've got time. Are they blind flipping? They are blind flipping. It's good for them. Can't deny that. We're taking 3. They kill our guy. We're not committed to our guy. We'll play an auger. You'll never believe it, but there's a scred in here. So I think this is kind of what we were talking about, where we're going to need to scred. If we scred now, if they have a 1-mana spell, they get to interact and keep their dreams alive with, keep their snaky dreams alive. They have a terror. Our screds are 5 next turn, so that's not the end of the world. We can play the landscape, shuffle, get an island, and get the mountain. Fairy seer, and then go top, and play the auger and just take a card. Shame we lose the relic. Okay. Our shields are down, you have a turn to go nuts, but we will have scred next turn. You've only got 2 lands currently. I don't think we can block. So we're fetching an island. We're scredding down a guy. Or we play a brainstorm. There's a good brainstorm. Put back 2 brainstorms. And then discharge down this guy. And then do we just brainstorm again to get through some brainstorms? Okay. Put back brainstorm spell stutter. We can attack for 1. So if we get to red blast this, pay 2 for wards, and they don't have another creature this turn, we look okay. They do have a lot of cards in hand. I'm just going to block. If we start with the brain, so I think I'm going to start with the brainstorm. Okay, they're good. Put back brainstorm, then counterspell. We had an opportunity to spread there, didn't we? And then we could have used red blast if they had something to make after we paid for wards. I'm going to try and counter this blue spell. I'm going to try and spell stutter this. Okay, that's gone badly. And then we've put things back in the wrong order, so that we're drawing the counterspell first. So we're spreading one of these, paying ward and holding up counterspell with brainstorm, Hail Mary on top. I guess that we could have maybe attacked there, but I think we have to go to 1. It gives us more outs with the ninja. We get to use our mana. That's bad. That's a bad sign. Okay, Hail Mary. I don't think this works. We can draw a card, but it's going to be one of these two, which doesn't do it. That's a shame. I guess them drawing, like, the counterspell was, the counterspell of the snake was off the top. I don't know why I'm going through motions now. Yeah, okay, we won't get anything next turn either. So yeah, missing the opportunity the turn before. So I think we've missed a few things near the end of that game that would have mattered. We augured and shuffled away a relic where I don't think we necessarily needed. So I think we could have been more patient and just drawn that. And actually having the relic there to put them back onto everything, casting a load of mana, could have been relevant. I don't know quite the turn that we did it on. We can point back at things. No, we can't. No, it's going to be impossible to find. One of the times that we played an augur, we shuffled away a relic, and yeah, we shouldn't have done that. We should have kept it, bricked their graveyard, and then they'd have had to rebuild from there. The other thing was, if we had, where are we? Kind of in this turn cycle, when they Lorien revealed in their end step, and we had the red blast. No, okay, that would have ended up worse because we would have Lorien paperboard. They would blue blast. We would red blast. Yeah, we would spread. They would blue blast. We would red blast. And then we would have basically get to this same point. So we would end up getting to this same point in their turn because if they didn't have a hydro blast, it would have mattered. But if they did, that's fine. Okay, cool. 3-2. That's a shame. 3-0 to 3-2 is pretty rough. Like going. I still really like this deck. I think we were quite lucky to win against Mono White. I think we kind of could have lost against Red. They conceded quite early in one game. I do like this deck against Mono Black. I think it helps because I know how that deck, I know how to play a deck, and it's kind of hard to balance when you need to keep, payoff creatures and so on, especially when you're killing them with damage spells that they can outgrow. What was the first deck that we lost to? What was the last match? I cannot for the life of me remember. That's a shame. And then this one, like I feel like Terror's not that bad a matchup. But obviously we lost this one. I'd have to check what I recorded in other matches. Right, that's the end of this. Thanks. Right, so this is going to be a slightly new thing for me. Basically trying to do a breakdown of a game. So this is game 3 of my round 5 of my last league with Izzet Fae. Recording this a little while after the game was actually played. And yeah, trying to break down quite, why this game went askew. So my feeling going into it is that um, Izzet Fae should be pretty good against Mono Terror. We've got 4 Screds, we've got 5 Red Blasts as ways to kill their snakes. Um, and then, Spellstutter fight against a deck that's force payload of cantrips. We've got Relic of Progenitus to kind of keep them off of their keep them off of being able to play their terror creatures and leave up counterspells type effects. And then also we should just have more actual raw card advantage than them. We'll both play 4 Lorien Revealed, both decks play 4 Lorien Revealed. Otherwise they play a load of cantrip effects. And whilst you can, brainstorm and then mill some lands over, for example, we have Augurs of Bolus that could find a new card. We have Ninjas, Ninja of Deep, not Ninja of Deep Powers, Moonsucker Hacker, for example, which lets us see another card. And then, I guess we do share some of these brainstorm type things. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure how we ended up losing this game. From memory, it goes quite long, so there is enough time to, affect the outcome. And we'll see if we can work out quite where it goes askew. So yeah, my recording of this is 12 minutes long for the game. I've got my audio for this playing in my headset, which is going to be a bit distracting, but it's useful to know what I'm thinking about at the time. So I'm not gonna as I say, first I'm trying to record a thing of breaking down a particular game. I'm going to try not to sweat stuff that would have too big an impact. This isn't a game that ends because of a mulligan decision, from what I can tell. From what I remember, this hand seems fine. Obviously, it would be bad if we kept this and then they just played a load of snakes and we died on turn 4. But that's not what happens. So I'm not going to go over. That's a lot of talking to say. I'm not going to go over like the mulligan decision, or essentially the decisions earlier on that might not be as important. So tap hand, yeah, sure, I agree. Let's see what are my options to move forwards. I can move forwards 30 seconds. That's quite a long time. So we draw a scred. Are we scredding here? I can't really remember what we do. Yeah, I would stand by fairies here. It sets up Augur for next turn. Let's jump. Well, we've got jump forward 30 seconds. This is again an important decision. I think we're keeping the scred. We keep the Augur, so that's quite mana. That's quite mana intensive as a line. But I like having, again, as we say, we have access to 2 screds, so we shouldn't be dying quickly. I don't even hate the gut shot there. Like, one of the things I was going to say that could go badly for us would be if, for example, our deck just has too many fairy seer type cards in it that don't really affect the game. But if we're trading 1 for 1, then again, I think we should have more, what's the word, more card advantage in our deck. So I can't remember if this gets counted or not. So this even resolves. So this, we know this is hitting. And then what? Oh, we spread in their upkeep. So that makes sense. So I like if I spread here, I like the decision because it uses up counterspell. If I don't, what the risk would be that we're no longer bluffing, say, a red blast to counter a snake. But yeah, it needs to be a 1 mana spell to then also be able to have a snake, unless they have a land. So it's their turn 4. They play their first snake. So it's not a bad draw from them. They turn 1, flip to Delver, and then they played a Terror on 4. Obviously, a bit of a dilemma as to what we choose to scred here. Yeah, I like getting double red. I like the idea of having a relic. I can't remember if I keep this. I think the problem is that we would have to brainstorm into it and then we don't get to crack it straight away. Okay. So I do vaguely remember this being something that I thought about kind of a turn cycle after, that actually we don't need to play the Ouroboros here. Like, we can do. Um, let's go back 10 seconds to look at this. So the appeal is next turn. So we need to fetch next turn because we need to get 5 snow lands, so that we can spread the terror. There's not a lot of appeal of interest in casting Brainstorm from our hand, but by playing I say that there's not like a clear reason why to do it. Like, we can shuffle away, but we need the island in our hand. I want an Augur that we're going to guarantee. We got 2 mana to play the Augur that we know is going to hit. So that's just like draw a card, make a body. We can't spread the Delver when we're facing down a Terror. We see they missed a land, so it's going to be kind of hard for them to keep mana up. But I don't know whether I should Brainstorm from hand, or maybe not play anything. But the point being that we just want to draw this relic, and actually by shuffling it away, we lose the ability to slow them down next turn. But so our next turn is going to be, we're going to have 4 lands available. One would be playing the relic. Sorry, we're going to have 5 lands in play. The Season Landscape needs to fetch to get a snow land so that we could spread. We'd have 1 mana to spread the terror, 2 mana to pay for ward. So we'd only be able to play the relic. We wouldn't necessarily be able to crack it then next turn anyway. So I can see shuffling this away being right. Maybe there's another opportunity where we lose a relic. I think I do say about it in the I do say about it in the video. And then obviously we've tapped out here, but from memory, they don't punish it too badly. We take 8. That puts us dead to 1 hit from a Cryptic Serpent. You can see like there's still 8 minutes left in the video. The game goes on a bit longer. We could think about jumping with an Augur, but it's not immediately obvious. We've still got 2 turns from protection from Delver. What does the opponent do here? I can't remember. I think they play Cryptic Serpent. Okay, so their draw was better than I remember. So they turn 1 flip to Delver, turn 4 interacted to save their Delver, played a Terror, turn 5 played another Snake. So our line here, we're definitely fetching, we're definitely killing the Snake, the Cryptic Serpent. Or do we? That's quite interesting. So that could be okay. I completely understand why I did it, because this lets us hold up a Spellstutter Sprite with a Fairy Seer in play against an opponent that's only got 2 lands in play and kind of needs to keep playing things. So if they have a 1 mana spell and we get to Spellstutter it, that's a very big win for us. But this would be an opportunity to kill their ward creature, and then we don't have to worry about, having a 3 mana removal spell they can interact with. Yeah, so I would imagine I brainstorm, yeah. We get to kill the Delver whilst the coast is clear. And we do that, so we take the shields down for Spellstutter Spriting for a turn. But yeah, and then we just keep cycling through our hand and we find a way to deal with the other terror. But we have taken a lot of damage. It's funny that we had all these brainstorms in a row. So obviously this could have been Spellstuttered. Whether they would cast it if we had 2 mana up, that's harder to answer. So we chump, obviously. Say obviously, maybe there's a world where we can afford to go to 1, but I don't like that. So now we're in this awkward situation where this guy has ward. So yeah, we just brainstorm again, sure. See what we can find. And then we've got 2 ways to kill this guy, but again, unfortunately, they're going to be very mana intensive ways. I think again, I remember this brainstorm not necessarily being very good. I think I put the cards back in the wrong order. If I put the brainstorm on top, I can always brainstorm into the counterspell. Whereas if I put the counterspell on top, if I don't use it that turn, it's just stuck there. So I quite like the attack. We can go to if they have a removal spell like the what's it called? Wow, going blank. The Demon Inferior, for example, would go to 1. That would be gutshot range, but so they've tapped a land now. I've got to think that we're spreading, and then we've got Red Blast. If they have a Blue Blast or a Dispel, we missed an opportunity there. And then that's funny. I've just realised it after I've let that go. So we would use a Scred and a Red Blast and still have an Augur. But now it looks like we're, the fact that if we can Red Blast this and get away with it. So if we would have the coast clear last turn, we'd still have an Augur in play, and presumably this Hydroblast would be gone, our Red Blast would be gone, and the Terror would be in play. And we wouldn't be able to spell stutter this turn, but we wouldn't be needing to. Okay, so that's a good angle for why, where the point would be that we lost. So the trade would be we would have a spell stutter sprite in hand still, instead of the Scred, and this terror would be dead. This one being on the stack, and then have a counterspell. Sure. Yeah, now we draw a counterspell, but we're already behind. So we're losing our guy. Yes, we knew if we had the spell stutter in hand instead, and we know we're drawing a counterspell, but that should have been a brainstorm. So there's 2 decisions that have worked together to lose that game. Yeah, so we go to 1, so we're dead to Gutshot now, but it means that Fairy Seer it means that the Ninja would be good if we brainstormed into a Ninja. We have the counterspell left over, so in this other world, they have a counterspell in hand, we have a spell stutter sprite, and we have 3 mana untapped because we've not Scredded in the end step. So we're not Scredded in our turn. So we counterspell, if they play a snake, we counterspell it. They counterspell, we sprite it. I mean, that's pretty. Oh no, yes, and we still go to 1 here. Yeah, I mean, that goes well. That goes a lot better for us as well. So what was their card in hand after this fight? So at this point, they have 1 card in hand, which is either a counterspell or a terror or a serpent. They draw the other one. I mean, that's pretty good for them. They shouldn't have this serpent. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we've identified where we lost it. 90% of it is, I say 90%, a large proportion of the reason we lose is, where are we? Right here. Have I gone too far? Yeah, it's right here where they go down to 1 mana. We have the opportunity for the coast to be clear and, to use the Scred and then have the Red Blast back up. So just here. This goes very poorly because we don't interact. I do kind of see the appeal on our end of, so no fetch land. I do kind of see the appeal on our end of holding the Red Blast because we want to trade that for another snake if they have one. But we just have to get this out of the way, and yeah, that's clear. And then yeah, we also get punished for this brainstorm decision, which is on the same turn, isn't it? It's basically all turn 6 it all comes apart. Yeah, we lose this game on turn 6. And I think reasonably, if we had played that, let's say, correctly, and we don't end up having to spew this spell stutter losing a counter war, which is, yeah, it is this turn. Yeah. We have this spell stutter and they have a counter spell, and we don't have the scred, then that would mean that, you know, this board state is basically the same, but we have we used to have a counterspell in hand. We used to have a spell stutter in hand. They used to have a counterspell in hand, and then we win this fight here. Although, if they've got 2 snakes on this turn, it depends on what the okay. So all that depends on whether their last card here is a counterspell or another serpent. Because if we're not spell stuttering, then yeah. So the Hydroblast is gone last turn. Our Red Blast is gone. They're playing this. We've just got a spell stutter in hand. If they then have another, if they had the Cryptic Serpent that turn, well, yeah, okay, that's just one of these turns where they, yeah, that's just them doing a good thing. We should still have the Brainstorm below the counterspell, and then we would, you know, be able to trigger. Okay, I don't know if that's useful kind of replay analysis. I don't think I managed to articulate any points very well, and I think actually the mistake is, the 2 mistakes are relatively clear to, like, you know, to work back from. And actually, but again, it's more difficult because what was I saying? Sorry, it's more difficult because we don't know if they had a serpent or a counterspell, and kind of how much of it is you know, how much that is results based thinking that's not actually better in general. Definitely think that in this spot, when given the chance for the coast to be clear, especially because this guy's got ward, we don't want to be fighting over them when the opponent's got more mana. So I agree with, again, don't agree with this particular brainstorm decision. That's click to put them back in the wrong order. We've got 5 mana. The flexibility of putting the brainstorm back first is too high. And then here, if they've got 2 mana up, I understand why we're not trying to kill their guy. We're not tapping out to kill their guy. If we red blast, they have like blue blast spell pierce or blue blast a spell. We're just in the bin. But once they tap that, and we know that the coast is clear. So I think, you know, I can see here, I've only got 4 minutes on our clock. I've already auto yielded. When do I auto yield here? No, before, right? I resolved my brainstorm. I'm a bit worried about time, so I auto yield. Yeah, okay. Thinking that opponent's got 2 mana up, they're not gonna tap out. And then I don't unyield. I know I do unyield. But okay, I see. So I unyield thinking that it's a 1 mana spell I can spell stutter. Especially, you know, them having 1 mana, they can't interact with the spell stutter. And then I see it's a Lorien, so I can't spell stutter, so I okay it and then move through and miss that we no longer have to be worried about 2 blue spells. Okay. So it's definitely a punt. Definitely a very winnable game. It's a shame how it went down.